What you're looking at right now is a man who admitted in real time, unaware, that he had participated in what can only be described as crimes against humanity. The man you are looking at is Anthony Housefather. You are looking at parliamentary hearings or something in Canada. I forget what it was exactly. It says committee business in English, and for some reason, travaux du comité, which is plural of work in French. Let us listen to the words and the inadvertent admissions of Nuremberg Violations 2.0 people. All right, let's go.
These agreements require employees of the Government of Canada that access these documents to sign confidentiality agreements. And why is that? Why is there much more redactions, as my colleague said, in these documents than in other documents? It's because these documents were signed at the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody was desperate for vaccines, when companies were being told to rush vaccine production, do testing in an unprecedented way, in a way they normally don't do it. So these companies were exposed to way higher liability, putting their products on the market than they normally would, because they didn't do the type of testing that normally takes these drugs years to come to market. They did it all in less than a year. So that's why these companies said, if I'm going to deliver you this product that I haven't tested in my normal way, I want to have different conditions. And with all countries around the world competing with each other to get these, the countries had less leverage than they normally do. For example, if we were entering into flu vaccine contracts or monkeypox contracts or other things that were normally available, this would be a different issue. But these are already signed. They were signed at a time the government didn't have that leverage in negotiations. We just wanted to sign as many vaccine contracts with as many producers as possible because Canadians were desperate for vaccines. And in the end, it worked out. We got vaccines, and we were one of the countries that got to vaccinate everybody the fastest.
In the end, it worked out. Now, the reason I played that uninterrupted, it's very difficult for me to listen to this scumbag POS politician extraordinaire basically admit to what I believe to be crimes against humanity, real-time experimentation on a population in the absence of informed consent, i.e. Nuremberg violations. The reason I let it play uninterrupted, and I'll give everybody the link, this is not my tweet on it. I have tweeted on this particular issue multiple times. I've tweeted that video multiple times, and every time I go look for it, it gets harder and harder to find. Anthony Housefather, member of the Liberal Party, admitting to crimes against humanity in real time. We just have to go rush it through. It's like we had to do things faster. We had to do things faster that cannot go faster. It's like saying I ran a marathon in 13 miles. No, you didn't. You can run a marathon in faster or lesser time when you meet the thresholds of what a marathon means. Here, you just cut corners, as he said. Here, they just basically admitted to manufacturing shit. And there is an expression, garbage in, garbage out, is what that toxic jab was. Call me an anti-vaxxer all you want. It was garbage in, garbage out, and that jackass admits to it in real time that they've got to redact the supply agreements, that they had to redact some of the contracts because they have NDAs with their employees because, the government operates in the darkness. And that they were doing things in unprecedented ways. Yeah, it's called cutting corners and doing the impossible. It's called 7 years of surveillance, 7 years of data collection in 1 year. You didn't do it. And they're idiots, by the way. That was, I want to say when that tweet was from. That video was 2022, give or take, 2023 maybe. I don't think it was quite as late as 2023, but here's another one from Anthony Housefather. Let's see where he is right now, actually. Member of Parliament for Mont-Royal, député de Mont-Royal. I loathe this person, but I loathe pretty much all politicians. Pretty much all, not exclusively all. This is Anthony Housefather saying, COVID vaccines were developed faster than any vaccine in human history. No shit, Sherlock, and people are dropping dead as a result of it. Oh, no, sorry. It's not from the COVID jab. It's from COVID itself. We're going to get to that in a second. Testing and approvals were expedited to put something on the market to save lives. Shit in, shit out. That's what it was. Expedited does not mean untested or unsafe. The vaccines were safe and effective. I love how they were safe and effective until we got the full data. Until we got 5-6+ years of data, by the way. They should never have come out when they did. And they should never have been mandated for everybody, let alone required. So in as much as I still got a bit of not a bone to pick, but an issue with Trump, I I dream of the day when he wakes up and he says, Fauci lied, people died, and now we go after Fauci. I dream of the day when I wake up and his administration says, yeah, that Brooke Jackson Key Tam whistleblower lawsuit against Pfizer that the Biden administration came in, took over, and quashed. We're going to revive that one. We're going to take it over from you, Brooke. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your diligent whistleblowing. We're going to take it over now. We're going to go investigate Pfizer and their research. I watched a documentary called Follow the Silenced. I'm not sure if I'm of course, I'm allowed saying I just can't say the name offhand because I don't remember his name offhand. Matthew Lindsay. I'm going to have him on the channel. If it's not Thursday, it'll be Friday. Follow the Silenced, documenting the Maddie DeGarys of the world. You know, the people who've been vaccine injured. And there's not one, there's not two. Statistical anomalies that the government was required to listen to, but they stopped listening to the VAERS data because the signal was too loud and they would have had to admit everything they've done was garbage in, garbage out. Oh, we're still on this, yeah. Here, look at this. They were safe and effective. Don't ignore everything you see, by the way, because don't believe your lying eyes. The people dropping dead, heart attack, etc. No. It's not from what you think it is. It's from what we tell you it is, which it isn't. Because we've been lying to you for the last at least 5 years now that we know of. Pretty much 10 years that we know of. Let's say pretty much 20 years they've always been lying. And now with the advent of the internet and the democratizing of information, we know they're lying. They know we know they're lying. We know they know we know they're lying. And they keep freaking lying. And there are people out there who are very content believing the lie because it is a lot easier to swallow than reality. You know, I take shit because people say, if you took 2 of the jabs, you contributed to the problem. I politely say to you, piss off, I can do whatever I want with my own body, even if it is objectively reckless, and even if I think it's objectively reckless. At the time, and I remember being a naive boob, I'm like, okay, it may not work, but how much damage can it do? Well, I didn't know then what I know now as to how much damage it can do and how much damage it did do. But the bottom line, if I want to hurt my own body, that's within my rights. If I want to pacify a neurotic mother, I might have to do that. And I might have to live with those consequences, which I've gone and had my heart checked, my blood, all the stuff, and, you know, whatever. We'll live with it. Or we won't. But, you know, it's the old Irish joke. But I didn't do it to my kids. And there are parents out there who are going to have to understand that they either put their kids at risk or they actually harmed their kids. And there are going to be parents out there who are going to have to say, I did this, I was brainwashed into it, but I either have to now admit that I have either damaged my kids or put them at risk, and I was put on this earth to protect my kids, not to harm them, or I'm just going to choose to believe safe and effective and double down, triple down, quadruple down. Listen to this. This is from the Daily Mail. And this was recent. Yeah, May 30th. Doctors sound alarm over massive spike in Americans suddenly dropping dead from unexplained heart attacks. Nothing to see there, people. That's a stock photo, by the way. It's not a real picture of a 20-some-odd or 30-some-odd-year-old woman holding her chest. Was she holding the right side of her chest? Yeah, that's so you get into the body. Listen to this. Researchers at Mass General Brigham, a Harvard-affiliated hospital, found that heart-related deaths had gone up to 17% in the years following the COVID pandemic. And while the exact number is unknown, in many of these cases, heart attacks have been at home, despite deaths in hospitals decreasing. This suggests patients are being missed until it is too late. I also sincerely wonder, I know there are ways to figure this out, if people who had been chalked up as falling down the stairs, hitting their heads, passing out, and then concussion, if they hadn't had heart attacks, that might have been jab-induced and they hit their heads on the way down or on the ground. I know there's forensic ways of figuring that out in terms of where the blood pools, et cetera, but I suspect a few might have actually had heart-related issues that were indirect or direct consequences of a jibby jab and or a booster, and on their way down hit their head and they got chalked up as fell down the stairs, slipped doing something in the kitchen. There was a third page to this. That's right. COVID-induced inflammation also alters the heart's electrical signals, leading to irregular heartbeats called arrhythmias. Research released this week also pointed to smoking weed or taking edibles at least 3 times a week as a potential cause of heart attacks. The team found endothelial cells, which line the blood vessels and regulate blood flow, released less nitric oxide in people who regularly smoked marijuana or took edibles. Would you know anything? Edibles and marijuana, that was the first time I'd ever seen that. I've seen energy drinks. I've seen supplements. I've seen sunlight. I've seen climate change. I've seen stress. I've seen inaction. I had not seen marijuana edibles. And do you know why that doesn't make a damn lick of sense, you stupid idiot propagandists who expect us to believe the absurd? Marijuana has been legalized and nationalized in Canada for, say, a good 10 years. No, it might not have been 10 years. I remember I did the original vlog. It was a scooter vlog where I went down to the marijuana dispensary in Canada, in Montreal. Viva Frei Marijuana. I do not smoke marijuana, people. 6 years ago. It was 2019. Look at this. Let's take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? Going to get copy claimed on my own video because of the... listen to this. This. Oh my goodness. What a different world it was back then, people. Check this out.
Well, today Canada became the second country in the world to legalize recreational marijuana. And apparently there's a lineup around the block at the marijuana store. So I've got to go check this out because I don't believe what I saw on the internet. All right, skip this part.
10 minutes.
What are you studying? Creative arts?
No, I'm pharmacology.
Oh, well, that makes sense. And so this is actually research. This is not recreation.
This is research study. That's not exactly.
Are you afraid your parents are going to now find out that you are smoking marijuana?
Well, they already know.
Do you think that it makes it more acceptable because it's legal?
Not really. I feel it's more acceptable for parents who have young children who are starting off, but really, it's not that big of a deal anyway right now.
Let's go here and check this one.
Cars in 10 years in Quebec.
Perfect,
Off that cannabis tax money, baby. Get it.
All right, well, have fun. Good luck.
Nice to meet you.
It's 3.5 hours. My goodness. Okay, enjoy. See you later.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. I don't think we need to take that much of a trip down memory lane. Oh, things were so simple back then when we didn't understand what the hell was going on in the world. Although that was well into my red pilling. But no, cannabis, marijuana, COVID itself, everything except for what we know. And you read the stats and you read how they try to minimize the myocarditis rates in young men and boys. And you see, they try to aggregate, there's only 1 in 100,000 risk of myocarditis, unless you're in the high risk category. And there it's something like 1 in 5,000 per dose. And so that's it. You know, for all the mistakes I've made, at least I didn't make the what would have been the hardest to forgive myself mistake, which would have been doing that to my children, because in as much as it didn't make any sense for me, I didn't fully appreciate the risks for adults, but there was zero reason to put children at risk for that. I'm also glad to say I didn't isolate my children. Hold on one second. People, speaking of children. Sorry, there's a number of children outside. I think there's probably 10 people outside this uninsulated home studio. It's summer, people, and kids are off school and playing. And they're good. They can make some noise. You're going to hear some noise, but within limits. That is the intro, people. I want everyone to always remember that. Anthony Housefather admitting the crimes against humanity. Donald John Trump. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Get that Brooke Jackson Keatam whistleblower fraud case back opened, investigated. I put out a tweet the other day, said, breaking. Pfizer ordered to pay $2.3 billion in damages for fraudulent misrepresentation of pharmaceuticals and kickbacks to doctors. Oh, wait, just kidding. That was 2009. And then 15 years later, 12 years later, they are using the criminal Pfizer organization to mass produce a hastily developed, fraudulently R&D'd drug and pushing it on children. May in 2 to 5 years, we be reading headlines, Pfizer ordered to pay the largest settlement, criminal and civil, in world history, $10 billion. Take every penny that they made during that COVID contract and claw it back if you have to go up Albert Bourla's ass itself. Ugh. Ugh. All right. That is it. That's the intro. Share it far and wide, people. Let us never forget. Never forgive, never forget. Hold the line. You can forgive the people who made mistakes along the way, but you cannot allow them to hold positions of power where their judgment was so badly compromised, they trampled on other people's constitutional rights for their own personal fear and for their own personal security, sense of security, or even worse, for their own personal gain. Okay.